When we look at it from a larger perspective, which the tenets of reality transurfing help us do, we can then just focus our attention on the larger story without getting attached to the very minute results. Hey everybody, Todd Jason here, and welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about manifestation. And I'd love for you to get out a pen and paper because we're going to go deep into a philosophy that you might not have heard of before, which is called Reality Transurfing, something that was created by a Russian quantum physicist named Vadim Zeland. And this is the book that I've read, and it's over 700 pages. And I've been following this practice for many years quietly. This is the first time I'm talking about it publicly. But I think it's really important because if you're looking to achieve the goals that you want to actually achieve, this can really help. And the way that I'm doing this video is to share a personal story about how I use this to create some true magic in my life. And it's around having a child with my wife. We were really struggling with having a baby, but it's something that we both wanted. And I was going through this book when we were in that challenge. And I'm going to share about how we navigated some of these challenges using reality transurfing. But I'm also going to take the most important points out so that you can make this practical in your own life. So let's get to it. Reality transurfing. Now, the main premise is this notion that at any moment in time, we are living with the infinite number of possibilities in front of us. So right now, in this moment, as you're listening to this video, there are an infinite number of possibilities about your life in front of you. And we have the ability to choose the lines that are most resonant and successful and joyful for us. And we do that through consciously choosing our thoughts and our behaviors. That I love this philosophy that right now, in this moment in time, as I'm recording this video, have an infinite number of possibilities in front of me. And I can choose the unfolding that most suits my intentions and most suits my desires for living a successful and joyful life. So we want to be able to start there. And this is not unique to reality transurfing, the idea of multiple universes. But I want you to sense into that right now as you're watching this video that, anything can happen. And I have control over this unfolding and my results by my thoughts and my behaviors. So the first piece that's really important is intention. Intention is huge in reality transurfing. And what it means is understanding what is it that we want to create in our life? What is our actual intention? What are the goals and the life that we want to experience? And it could be in our work, in our relationships, in our physical health, in our adventures. What is it that you want to create? Otherwise, we are just allowing the randomness or the pendulums, which is a term that I'll share later that he talks about a lot in reality transurfing, take over and dictate to us the unfolding of our lives. So intention gives us our power back because it allows us to set the standard and set the goal for what we want to experience and achieve. Now, perhaps the most game-changing notion of intention, because chances are you've heard this before, the idea of being able to emotionally connect with your intention without any of the mental consternation or fear that get in the way. And this often seems easier said than done. And I love the Marianne Williamson quote here where she says that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And I think it can be humbling to realize that if you have a really clear intention about what you want to have, could be a family, it could be having a lot of money or success in your career, and you start this process of reality transurfing, and you connect with that intention, first using your mind and the words, but then you try to connect your emotions with it. You often find the emotions of excitement, the emotions of possibility or freedom of really having that thing don't exist, or they're hard to find because they're shrouded by some level of fear or inadequacy or limitation that exists in our subconscious minds. But we have to begin this. And this is why I love reality transurfing. And I'll share with you a little bit about my story with my wife of having a kid. We were really struggling. And when I got to that point of the book where I started to visualize what it would be like for me to have that child and have that family, which is what our stated goal was, I found that it was hard for me to really connect emotionally with the excitement. And the reason why, when I dug deeper, was that I had fear. I had fear around having a family. I had fear around the idea, well, will I be a good father? What will that mean financially? Where are we going to live? All these questions about that future that I so dearly wanted came up and were actually the very things inhibiting me from achieving the goal. So when you think about your goals and the things that you want to achieve, and you connect with them without fear. And what I did in that moment was train myself to think about having that family and only stay in the positivity and the excitement and the good of what that reality held for me and my wife and our future child. And it was a real practice of every day coming back to that and really thinking there is a line of reality in my future where we have this family and we have this child and it's healthy and it's good and everything works out really well. And I'm going to stay in that line. Really important in reality transurfing to not only understand what your intention is, but to be able to connect with it emotionally in a positive way and dissolve the fear and limitation that exists. And this is a practice. This is why I do this YouTube channel, because we need to dissolve the limited mindset. Now, the second piece that I want to cover that I think is just so important in reality transurfing is what he calls decrease the level of importance. So once we have this idea of our goal or our vision, and we do the work to connect with that idea with positive emotion and dissolve whatever limitation or negativity arises in the achievement of that goal, we then go about our day letting go of attachment to what he calls the lines of variation that are going to happen in our lives, meaning things are going to happen. It's not going to unfold exactly the way that you think it will. There's always variation in this life. There's always uncertainty. And our goal, and I love when he says this in the book, is that we then go about our days and go about everything that happens in our lives, even related to this goal, as if we're just going to the post office and picking up our mail. So what that meant for my wife and I, or at least for me, when we were going through the process of trying to have a kid, was every time we went to the doctor appointment, every time we got a test result back, the things that tended to cause me to shrivel up and to have fear and doubt, I would go about it as if I'm going to the post office, meaning I would let go of and be non-attached to the outcome. And this is so incredibly important because I want you thinking right now about the things that you really want in this life. And I can share. I mean, look, I really wanted to have a kid badly. I really did want that outcome. There was something in my heart that wanted that experience in this life, but I had so much fear around the process of going to the doctors and getting the test results and having these conversations with my wife. And I was in this mental roller coaster ride that, according to reality transurfing, never serves. So the practice of decreasing the level of importance is really another way of saying living with non-attachment and not being attached to the little variations that life is going to throw at you. And just understanding that if your intention is real and you're really connected to it, and there's this line of reality that you can attach yourself to emotionally with excitement and positivity, that you're just going to go on life's journey, but life is going to unfold in a way that has nothing to do with the little variations. So letting go of our mental consternation is the fastest way to attune to the larger, more important story. So I want you thinking about how you can do that. And I know it can be easier said than done because look, fear was coming up for me and challenging conversations and decisions were happening in this very real life situation. And to the best of my ability, I was letting go of it and just seeing myself as if I was the observer or the witness to my life with this intention that was golden and this line of reality that felt really good to me, knowing and feeling that was going to happen without being attached to the how and when things were going to happen. Now, the next piece that he talks about, which is so important in today's world, is this notion of pendulums. Pendulums are social thought patterns, meaning that we are creating collectively certain types of magnetic thought patterns that we can see playing out in the world. And the easiest way to see it is probably through our political system. There are certain belief structures politically that we get very magnetized by as individuals. But he says that our opportunity is to learn how to resist the pendulums, which are constantly pulling at us. So that way we can become independent, free thinkers. And the most powerful way to dissolve our attachment to these very strong pendulums in our world. And it's not just politics, it's economics, it's social situations. It's even controversial to say it because we all have our causes that we believe in. But according to Reality Transurfing, we must resist and let go of the attachment that we have to these larger structures and see them as not our own thought. And the way that we do this is by getting into the heart and developing empathy. Empathy for ourselves, empathy for others, empathy for the world, and just walking around in that non-attached state with our vision there and this connection with that golden thread of reality, and just understanding that everyone is doing their best and there's nothing that I as an individual need to get attached to. There's no big change that I can make on the world, that there are these pendulums that are swinging in every direction. And my job is to stay centered and just to send love and empathy and compassion out. And that starts with ourselves. Then it goes out to our families and the friends and the people that we're closest to, and out and out. And this is why I love this practice, because Reality Transurfing mimics a lot of the great wisdom traditions that we talk about here on this channel. And so it's just another way of saying something really powerfully. Now, I want to end this video by talking about my actual result. Did I have a kid? And I did. My child, as I'm doing this video, is almost 7 years old. She just lost her big front tooth last night. So I'm having a really good time. But it was a real process. We went through it. And by the end of the process, before we actually got the news that we were pregnant and everything worked out, we had some challenges where we were told that it wasn't going to happen. But there was something else that had developed within me. It was this deeper sense of trust and knowing that this line of reality was still alive, and that we were going to find a way to become parents, and letting go of the attachment of how that was going to happen, because we had ideas about having the perfect kid and the perfect way with the perfect birth and the perfect whole thing. I let go of all that. And I just kept connecting with the idea of being a parent, being with my wife, and having that experience without knowing what the results were, and then going through my day as if I was going to the post office. Okay. And the lines of variation came in and tested me at times, where it was like, well, this isn't going to happen, which really created a challenge where I was like, oh my God, like, is this not happening? And so oftentimes when we're doing any deeper spiritual work, we get tested in terms of our trust and our faith. And this is a beautiful thing to experience. It seems challenging in the moment, but when we look at it from a larger perspective, which the tenets of Reality Transurfing help us do, we can then just focus our attention on the more important thing and the larger story that we're trying to create without getting attached to the very minute results. And I think that it was in that process where I was fully able to do that, where the serendipity and the magic of the universe then did provide our child to come in a way that was really beautiful. And of course, it was different than I thought it was going to be. It always is, but it happened in a way that made me feel validated, that the demonstration of the practice was like, yeah, like this is how it works. And that's why I follow it, because I really believe that we have more power than we often give ourselves credit for. So I really hope that this helps. I would love to hear your comments. If you've heard of this before, what do you think about what I said? So much love. I'll talk to you soon.